friends. Welcome into the Sandbox. I'm Tammy J. Bond, your host of the Leadership Sandbox, and excited to have you join me for this part 3 in our Speaking Up series of Dear HR, I'm not whining, I'm warning you. And in today's episode, we are talking all about when those complaints keep coming back again and again and again, and how you get to stop the spin cycle. So if you're ready to dig into this content, I want you to kick off your shoes, grab your pen and paper. Let's step into the sandbox and let's get going, because I'm guessing if you're listening to this, you've had the same complaint land on your desk or in your inbox a few times, more than once, from the same person, maybe 3 times, maybe more. Maybe it's from 3 different people. Maybe it is from the same person, but you told yourself that it was a personality issue. You told yourself that it was a person problem. But here's the truth. If you've heard it more than once, it's not personal. It's not personality. It's systemic. If you've heard a complaint more than once, it's not personality. It's systemic. And it's up to you to get underneath it, uproot it, get rid of it, expose it, call it out. Because when you have repetition on a complaint, that actually equals a red flag. And listen, leaders often rationalize recurring complaints as overreactions, as it's just a person that they just always complain, right? We label when we hear it. And repeated friction is feedback. It's pointing to structural issues or to cultural misalignment. And HR, you risk tuning out important patterns, tuning out people that matter when you don't address it, tuning out behaviors and problems that are a root cause of something that's growing on the inside, and it's up to you to get it out. So here's something interesting for you. For those that like the statistics, 70% of employees say they've raised the same issue more than once with no response. One of the biggest challenges that I see when I hear teams have their little engagement surveys and they raise complaints, they think, okay, I'm going to put this complaint on the survey and surely someone's going to read it, and then nothing happens with it. That's why your engagement survey results go down for participation the next time, because you don't actually do anything with it. 52% of turnover is preventable and rooted in ignored feedback, says Gallup. Think about that. 52% is rooted in ignored feedback. That means you've had somebody bring to your attention a problem and they take it to HR and HR doesn't do anything with it. Or HR goes back to the leader of the team and says, here's the problem that's come up to us. It's up to you to deal with it. But we don't actually equip and give the tools and the keys on how to, and then follow up to say, hey, how's it going? Tell me how you handled it. What documentation do you have? When that feedback is ignored and not followed, it actually comes back to you, HR. It doesn't even go to the leader to take care of the issue. Because when it lands on your desk, you have different tools available in your arsenal, in your toolbox, to be able to address it. And that's what teams and people want. The issue isn't that people keep complaining. The issue is that we keep ignoring the signal. We keep ignoring the warning sign. We keep ignoring the people. So how do you identify a problem is systemic? How do you identify that? Well, here's my broken record rule. If a complaint is mentioned 3 or more times by different people, it's a pattern. So now you need to trace back to its origin. Where does it show up? When does it show up? Who's involved, right? Evaluate that process, the people or the leadership breakdown that's causing that to come up again and again. It's a pretty easy process for you to pull people in and go, hey, I've heard this more than once. Talk to me about your experience with it. People will expose it. I was just with a team a couple of weeks ago. Oh, well, more than a couple of weeks ago, probably, actually. I always tell you that, like, as if it matters, friends. But it's like, you're in my dining room with me because we're doing a reframe on our studio. And so you get to come to the dining room table with Tammy and we're just having a real life conversation, right? So I'm going to tell you like it was a few weeks ago and it could have been like a few months ago. But for me, it's also relevant and present all the time. But I was in with this team, and what was interesting is that I'm interviewing people on the challenges that they're having with the team, the challenges that they're having that have caused some productivity issues. And thankfully, leadership wanted to get underneath it quickly, and they said, hey, let's call Tammy. We know she's going to know how to do that. Cool. And I do. But what's funny is when people are bringing me the same storyline, right? And I'm trying to get into the processes, I'm trying to get up underneath it, but it's like the same story again and again. And I'm thinking, okay, if they're bringing me the same story, why are they not bringing the same story forward to HR? Why are they not bringing the same story forward to their leadership? Or are they, and you just don't know how to solve it? So then I get to go back to the drawing board and help the team co-create what solve looks like. And then we actually educate the leadership and HR on what the solve looks like. And it can be reversed. So sometimes we put so much heavy weight on HR to fix the problems when really just go to the team to tell you how the fix is and then honor that fix. It doesn't need to be done your way. But if we don't take the time to evaluate the processes, we talk that's important, right? To break it down and to get into the pattern, right? So that we can actually create a solution for it, we're never going to get there. So ask the team for their involvement, but break it down into the process and get underneath it. Number 3 on this is to shift from being defensive to being a designer. Go after it and be into the design and the creativity. Reframe questions, right? What part of our process makes this possible? What part of our process might stop this from moving forward? When have we tried this before and it worked? Or when have we tried this before and it didn't work? Ask those questions. Be curious. Where are we unintentionally reinforcing behavior that we say we don't want? When we have a problem because someone's bringing up or multiple people are bringing up the same complaint 3 or more times, right? Where is it that we're reinforcing that behavior? Because somewhere that behavior has gotten reinforced in such a way that people are actually thinking it's okay to just if I just keep bringing it up, I'm just going to be that squeaky wheel, as they say. But then we don't do anything with it. Why? Because we've tuned out the squeaky wheel, because we've just made an assumption. We have a belief. We have a perception that somebody's just complaining for the sake of complaining instead of asking, how are we reinforcing the behavior? I'll tell you what, the way you're reinforcing behavior, friend, this is a very serious moment right now. Tune into me. The way you're reinforcing the behavior is because you're ignoring it. So you're reinforcing the behavior because you're ignoring it instead of addressing it. Stop that. You're better than that. Ask the question, what are people trying to protect by not changing the behavior? Is there a behavior that they're trying to protect? Is there something that we're trying to protect so we're not changing the behavior? Because ask that. Because you could be annoyed and irritated by a behavior that you're seeing or something that's not changing that you want to see change. But how are we protecting it not changing? We might be doing that, but we don't actually pause long enough to ask the questions. I don't like this behavior. I'm curious how we can make it different. How do we do that? Are we protecting not changing ourselves because I don't like conflict, so I don't want to address it? So therefore, I'm not going to change the behavior. I'm not going to address the behavior. I'm not going to ask it. I'm protecting it. I'm now protecting the very culture that I say that I don't want. Think about that for a minute. If your system produces burnout, disengagement, or fear, then your system is broken, period. There's no other way around that, friend. Your system can be broken because you're not willing to address it. Think about that. Here's your action plan. HR, this one's for you. Step 1, conduct a red flag roundup. What's that? Get a list of all the complaints. You know me and my flip charts. I love them. Get a list of all the complaints that you've heard. Write them out on your own whiteboard or your own flip chart. These are the complaints that I've heard from this team repeatedly. What do they have in common? Show that to the team. Talk about that. Here's the list of complaints that have come from this team. Don't make it about a person. Don't make it about an individual, right? Make it general. And I know there's some people in HR right now, y'all are going, oh, I can't do that. That's uncomfortable. It might be. But the reality is when you get it up on the wall and you talk about what the list of complaints are, you know what? It actually exposes what you have in common. And that's the goal of step 1. And then you want to create a step 2, a feedback mirror session. Host one of those. Ask the team what feels ignored. Give them space to name it. What feels overlooked? Give them space to name it. What is it that we do well? Give them space to name it. When conflict happens, how do we address it? What's working with that? Give them space to name it. Why? Because that actually starts to name the patterns of behavior. We can reflect what they're saying. It's going to name a pattern. It's going to expose a pattern when you give them space to talk about it. And the patterns are what we want to get to. You want to change it, change the pattern. But first, you have to expose the pattern. You can't just say, oh, I see a pattern. The other individuals at the table actually need to see the pattern and see what they're contributing to that being a pattern. So they're coming in and complaining about the same thing that we've created, and we've reinforced a pattern that we don't like. And instead of saying, wow, we've all just reinforced this pattern by the way we're talking about it or not addressing it, what do we want to do about that? And then get the team being creative with each other to do something about it and map out the root cause as step number 3. Is it a workload issue? Is it a communication issue? Is it accountability issue? Is it a defensiveness issue? Is it a we don't get along with each other issue? Is it a perception of reality issue? What is the issue? Get underneath it, map out the root cause, because only when you map out the root cause can you heal it. This is such an age-old adage. It's not new, even in leadership. It's not new in healthcare, in your body. When you're sick, get to the root cause, get underneath it. As a cook, as someone who loves to cook in the kitchen, and I bring all sorts of different spices in, and I don't ever usually know exactly what I'm going to put together. I call them Mom's Creations, and I add a lot of different spices. If it didn't work out, I go back to the root and go, what did I add there that changed the flavor this time? I made that before, but I didn't get to the root. Same thing with recipes, same thing with health, same things with get to the root of cleaning something out. You don't walk through your house and go, wow, that bathroom really stinks, or wow, that washer and dryer doesn't, or wow, the outside. You don't leave an odor in the house without getting to the root cause. Why would you leave it in your team? I know I just got really graphic on a few things, y'all. That's probably why I'm sitting at my dining room table, so I'm thinking about things. Anyways, publicly share what's changing. When you identify the root cause, when the team has identified what that is, then share what's changing and get everybody on the same page. If you don't bring the whole team together, but maybe it's you, HR, and the leader, and you've identified the problem, then publicly share it with the team. That builds credibility in the process of making the change, but then ask for their feedback. Even when you make small visible changes, you actually want to normalize them, communicate them broadly, share them publicly, share what's changing and the why behind it. And the reason for that is I want people aligned that when they bring things to us, we can, not that we're going to change all the time. Also, the same goes if you do nothing with it, you need to communicate that as well. So probably more important than even changing the things or communicating the changes that are coming. Because we want people to keep bringing their challenges, keep bringing those even complaints to us so that we can heal it versus ignore it. And we want to tell people what we're going to do with it. So remember this, feedback loops aren't a burden. They're a blueprint for what you're going to do moving forward, but only if you're brave enough to look for them and to ask for them. And when complaints get ignored, friends, disengagement happens. It becomes contagious. And while it may not create toxicity at the start, it will over time. And it's an unattended system issue that we haven't addressed yet. So get to the system, get to the root cause, fix it, heal it, clean it, clear it, so that everybody gets to feel that they get to play all out at the table and be all out in the conversation, and it's safe to be that, so that we don't have these issues coming up again and again. Remember that your people aren't whining, they're warning you. And if you as HR and if leadership don't reframe feedback as insight, you're going to keep managing turnover instead of talent. And that is what is key to know in all of this as we are managing to stopping the spin, right? When complaints come, you want to stop it and you want to get underneath it and get to the root cause of it. Next week in the Sandbox, we're going to go for episode 4 of the Speaking Up series, and it's called The Courage to Escalate, when HR needs to call out leadership. That's what we're going to be getting into in episode 4 of the Speaking Up series in the Sandbox. I'll see you next week, everybody. Enjoy those conversations you're going to have. Make it a great day. God bless.